My fiancé, William, left me heartbroken just weeks before our wedding. Desperate, I took a job as a live-in nurse for a paralyzed billionaire. On my first night, I froze, stunned by what I saw. I arrived at William's mother's house, expecting to discuss wedding seating plans. Instead, Victoria Peton opened the door, wearing my grandmother's pearl necklace, the one William claimed was stolen last month. Behind her, my wedding invitations lay on the coffee table, my name crossed out in red ink, replaced with hers. Luna, Victoria said, her smile sharp as a blade, William thought I should break the news to you. That necklace was my only heirloom, a precious gift from my grandmother, who died of cancer when I was 12. William knew its story. He'd comforted me when I thought it was gone, even helped me file a police report. Now it gleamed on Victoria's collarbone, sparkling under the chandelier's light. "Where's William?" I asked, my voice steady despite my trembling hands, which I hid by clutching my purse. "He's upstairs with Mother Hamilton, going over the prenuptial agreement, ours," Victoria said, stepping aside like she already owned every home tied to William's family. "Come in. We have lots to talk about." The living room, where I'd picked out throw pillows last Christmas, felt like a battlefield. William's mother, Eleanor, sat in her wingback chair, sipping tea from china too expensive for me to touch. Next to her was Marcus Peton, the pharmaceutical giant who funded half the city's hospitals. "Luna," Eleanor said, not standing, her voice cold as ever, "this is for the best. You must see that." 3 weeks. I'd spent a year planning our wedding, and now they sat like judges, replacing me. My hand-addressed invitations, Eleanor's idea of proper breeding, sprawled across the table, with Luna Marie Carter scratched out and Victoria Peton scrawled in red. "William and I have been working on the Peton Medical Technology Initiative," Victoria said, lounging on the sofa where I'd tried so hard to win Eleanor's approval. "Our partnership just happened." "Just happened," I echoed, my voice breaking. "We share an apartment. We booked a venue. We had a life." "Had," William corrected, his voice cold as he descended the stairs, holding a manila folder like the ones he used for patient discharges. Even now, 3 weeks from our wedding, he wore the Tom Ford suit I'd bought for his promotion. He looked like the man I loved, but his eyes were ice. "Everything sorted," he said, placing the folder next to the ruined invitations. "The lease transfers to me next week. Your things will be packed and stored. The venue's been notified, but we're keeping the date for other plans." Other plans. They were stealing our wedding date for their wedding. The truth hit me so hard I gripped the doorframe to stand. "The ring," Eleanor said, eyeing the heirloom diamond on my finger, glinting in the afternoon light. "It stays in the family." Instinctively, I shielded the ring I'd worn for 18 months. But William held out his hand, calm as if he'd already won. "Luna, don't make this harder than it needs to be," he said, using his doctor's tone for stubborn patience. "Our relationship is over. Victoria and I share goals, connections, a future that fits better." "When?" I blurted, unable to stop myself. "When did you decide this?" Victoria's laugh was sharp, like shattering glass. "Oh, darling, it's not a decision, it just happens. But if you must know, William and I started working together 2 months ago on the neural interface project." 2 months. I remembered his late-night surgeries, the sudden weekend conferences, the strange charges on our credit card for dinners I never ate. The clues were there, written in betrayal I was too trusting to see. "Your mornings were so predictable," William said, his words slicing like a knife. 5:30 wake up, breakfast at 6. Same meals, same hospital gossip, same everything. I slid off the ring with hands that felt foreign, hands that didn't scream in a room full of people who'd planned my downfall. The diamond clinked on Eleanor's side table, next to her costly teacup. The storage unit key will go to Dorothy Martinez's address, William said, checking his phone like I was a task to cross off. I figured you'd run to her. You always do when things get tough. Dorothy, my foster mom, my only real family, reduced to a predictable escape in William's calculations. He'd planned my ruin, right down to where I'd flee. Anything else? I asked, my voice somehow steady. Marcus Peton stood, smoothing his Italian suit. Discretion. The medical world is small, and we'd rather avoid drama. A clean break is best for everyone. Especially your daughter's reputation, I said, staring at Victoria. Stealing a fiancé 3 weeks before his wedding might make people question her character. Victoria's smile sharpened. Oh, Luna, nobody's stealing. People end up where they belong. William's in a different league now. Even you can see that. Their cruelty was precise, cutting deep. They weren't just ending my relationship, they were making sure I knew I had no place in their world. The pearls on Victoria's neck seemed to carry my grandmother's pain, dreams stolen by those with power. The hospital schedules changed, William added, always thorough. You're off my surgical shifts. Dr. Harrison's moved you to night shifts in pediatrics. Fewer awkward run-ins. They'd planned it all, my home, my job, my dignity, carved out of William's life like a tumor. I stood in Eleanor's living room, surrounded by people who dismantled me with the same care I'd put into our wedding, now Victoria's triumph. If that's all, I said, turning to the door, holding on to what little strength I had left. One last thing, Victoria called, touching my grandmother's pearls slowly. These are stunning. William has such good taste. The door clicked shut behind me, sounding like the end of the life I'd dreamed of. 3 weeks before my wedding, I stood on Eleanor's porch, no ring, no home, no fiancé, unaware that this betrayal was the start of my freedom. Dorothy, my foster mom, my only true family, was just a predictable escape in William's cold calculations. He'd planned every step of my downfall, even where I'd seek refuge. Is that all? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Marcus Peton stood, smoothing his Italian suit. We need discretion. The medical world is small, and we want this transition drama-free. A clean break works for everyone. Especially your daughter's image, I shot back, locking eyes with Victoria. Stealing a fiancé 3 weeks before his wedding might make people question her morals. Victoria's smile sharpened, predatory. Oh, Luna, no one's stealing. People just find their place. William's in a higher circle now. Even you can see that. Their cruelty cut deep, precise as a surgeon's blade. They weren't just ending my relationship, they were making sure I knew I didn't belong in their world. The pearls around Victoria's neck seemed to throb with my grandmother's pain, dreams crushed by those with power. The hospitals changed your schedule, William added, always tying up loose ends. You're off my surgical shifts. Dr. Harrison's put you on pediatric nights. Less chance we'll cross paths. They'd planned it all, my home, my job, my dignity, sliced out of William's life like a tumor. I stood in Eleanor's living room, surrounded by people who dismantled me with the same precision I'd poured into our wedding, now Victoria's victory. If that's everything, I said, turning to the door, clinging to what strength I had left. One last thing, Victoria called, touching my grandmother's pearls with slow intent. These are gorgeous. William has excellent taste. The door clicked shut behind me, sounding like the end of the life I'd planned. 3 weeks before my wedding, I stood on Eleanor's porch, no ring, no home, no fiancé, unaware this betrayal was my first step toward freedom. The drive from Eleanor's house blurred by, my hands gripping the wheel so hard it left marks. 20 minutes to the apartment William and I shared for 2 years. 20 minutes to grasp that my life had been carved away while I was still breathing. The parking garage's flickering lights greeted me as I pulled into my spot, next to William's empty space where his BMW usually sat. Of course, he wasn't home, probably at Victoria's penthouse, toasting my ruin with champagne pricier than my student loan payments. The apartment door opened to darkness, William's cologne lingering like a ghost. I flipped on the light to find him by the floor-to-ceiling windows we'd chosen together, still in his morning scrubs. He didn't turn, just stared at the city lights like they held answers to questions he never asked. "We need to talk," he said to the glass. Those 4 words hit like a punch, though I knew what was coming. His mother's house was Act 1, this was the final blow. "Your mother and Victoria handled it pretty well," I said, setting my purse by our engagement photo, still framed in silver on the console table. William turned, his face cold as when he delivered bad news to patients. "No feeling, just facts. They shouldn't have done that. I wanted to tell you myself." "How thoughtful," I said, sarcasm my only shield, thin but vital. He pulled a manila envelope from his laptop bag, thick with papers. William loved documentation, proof of his efficiency. "It's all taken care of. The lease is mine next week. Your name's off our accounts as of this morning. The venue, photographer, and caterer were cancelled 2 days ago." 2 days ago. While I was writing save the dates in careful cursive, practicing Luna Hamilton, he was erasing our future with the precision of a surgeon removing a growth. "Movers come tomorrow at noon," he said, sliding the envelope across the dining table where we'd shared dinners, studied for his boards, planned our life over wine and takeout. "Your things will be packed and stored. First month's paid." "How kind," I said, my voice hollow, like it came from someone else. "Victoria and I have something you and I never did," he said, a spark of excitement in his voice, not regret, not sadness. "Her father's connections will skyrocket my career. I'll be department chair by 35. The Peton Medical Technology Initiative will change spinal surgery. This is bigger than feelings." "Our wedding's in 3 weeks," I said, the words empty, useless. He corrected. "That date's for something else now." The venue was too good to lose. His cold efficiency stole my breath. He'd handed our wedding to Victoria like it was a dinner reservation, swapping brides as easily as a shift change. "I need the ring back," he said, pointing to my bare finger. "The one you gave my mother. Grandmother's original setting." I'd swapped rings after his mother's house, wearing the heirloom setting as a final act of defiance, clinging to a piece of our past. But William knew me too well, saw through even my small rebellions. My hands shook as I fumbled with the platinum band, dropping it. It hit the countertop like a judge's gavel. I set it by the envelope, resisting the urge to hurl it at him. "Thank you for being clear," I said, the words burning my throat. William pocketed the ring like it was his phone, its meaning already gone. He checked his watch, as if I was delaying something more important. "I have evening rounds," he said, heading for the door. "Pack quickly. The movers won't wait." The door clicked shut, echoing through the apartment, our apartment, mine for just 6 more days. I stood frozen in the living room, time slipping away. Then, slowly, I walked to our bedroom, digging through the ruins of betrayal. Each drawer revealed more lies, receipts from marquees, our rehearsal dinner spot, dated weeks ago for 2, a Peton Pharmaceuticals pen in his sock drawer, Victoria's business card in his journal, edges worn from handling. In the closet, my Vera Wang wedding dress hung like a wound, ivory silk, a fortune I'd justified because you marry once. The tag was still on, the receipt in my name alone, William's idea so I'd have my dream dress. Now I saw he'd made sure the debt was mine alone. I dragged suitcases from the top shelf, folding my life into pieces. Each item cut deep, the blue dress from his white coat ceremony, fleece pajamas he'd bought when I shivered through our first winter here, a jewelry box with pearl earrings he'd given me last Christmas, passed off as new but likely Victoria's cast-offs. By the door, I found boxes labeled in Eleanor's perfect handwriting: Luna, kitchen items, Luna, personal documents, Luna, miscellaneous. She'd planned my erasure weeks, maybe months, ago, reducing 4 years to neatly labeled evidence. At 2 a.m., I opened my laptop to face the truth. Our checking account had $24,783. Wedding deposits, venue, photographer, flowers, catering, ate up $15,000, non-refundable, thanks to contracts William urged me to sign fast. My credit cards were maxed from bridesmaid gifts, the engagement party I hosted, the honeymoon flights I'd booked as a surprise. William had convinced me not to renew my old apartment's lease 6 weeks ago, calling it a waste since I was always at our place. Every financial choice was rigged to leave me with nothing when he walked away. At 3 a.m., I sat on the lobby floor, surrounded by boxes labeled with my name like crime scene evidence. I scrolled through apartment listings that felt like a foreign language. Studio apartment, first and last month's rent, credit check required. Every option slammed the door before I could knock. Tears blurred my phone screen, but I wouldn't let them fall. Then I saw Dorothy Martinez's name in my recent calls, the last person I'd talked to before my life collapsed. My thumb hovered over her number for a full minute before desperation beat shame. She answered on the second ring, her voice steady despite the hour. "Luna, what's wrong, sweetheart?" A sob broke free, saying everything. "Can I come over? I'm putting the kettle on." Dorothy's townhouse sat on a quiet street, oak trees lining the way, a place where neighbors knew each other. She opened the door before I knocked, wearing the same flannel nightgown from when she took me in as a foster kid 15 years ago. Silently, she helped me carry boxes to her spare room, its Noah's Ark wallpaper a haven for broken kids like me. The room smelled of lavender and old books, just as I remembered. A new quilt lay on the twin bed, its price tag barely hidden. A photo from my nursing school graduation sat on the nightstand, Dorothy smiling beside me in my cap and gown. She'd made space for me before I knew I'd need it. "Tea first, talk later," she said, leading me to her kitchen with copper pots and herbs in mason jars. She handed me the chipped blue mug she'd given me at 13, its tiny crack never leaking. The chamomile tea tasted like safety, like nights she'd soothed my foster care fears and teenage heartaches. "William left me for Victoria Peton," I said, the words heavy as stones. "The wedding's off. I have nowhere to go." Dorothy didn't gasp or preach. She opened her arms, and I fell into them, sobbing into her nightgown as she rocked me, her comfort honed from raising countless kids who weren't hers but felt like they were. Through tears, I saw my favorite strawberry yogurt in her fridge. A purple toothbrush, my favorite color, waited in the bathroom. She'd prepared for my return, hoping it wouldn't happen. "Stay as long as you need," she whispered into my hair. "This is your home. Always." For 3 days, I hid in a cocoon of grief, barely leaving the guest room except for meals Dorothy made me eat. She didn't pry or advise, just brought soup and sat quietly while I scrolled job listings. My savings couldn't cover a decent apartment's deposit. The hospital, at William's request, had shifted me to pediatric night shifts, ensuring we'd never meet. On the third evening, Dorothy knocked softly, holding tea and a folder. My cousin Marjorie called from Hartman Placement Agency. "There's a job open for months. It's unusual." She placed the folder on my bed. The salary, $15,000 a month, plus housing, meals, and benefits, made me blink twice. It was triple my hospital pay. "What's the catch?" I asked, knowing there always was one. "The patient is Nathaniel Blackwood," Dorothy said cautiously. "The tech billionaire, paralyzed after a skiing accident 8 months ago. He's tough. 4 nurses quit in 2 months. One lasted 3 days. I knew the name from headlines William read over breakfast. Nathaniel Blackwood, the genius who built a medical tech empire before 35, William's target age for department chair, thanks to the Petons. They say he's impossible, Dorothy added. Frustrated, maybe violent, isolated in his Westfield Heights mansion. But Luna, 6 months of that pay could restart your life anywhere. It was running away. But staying meant living in William and Victoria's shadow, stuck on night shifts, haunted by memories on every street. I grabbed the folder and called the number before I could hesitate. The interview was set for the next morning at Margaret Harrison's downtown office. The building's lobby gleamed with rich marble, and the elevator to the 42nd floor glided smoothly. Margaret's office was all sharp lines and cold edges, like it was carved from ice. She matched it, gray hair in a tight bun, charcoal suit crisp as a blade. "Miss Carter," she said, not standing, pointing to a chair across her glass desk. "Your credentials are solid, 5 years nursing, trauma care expertise, great references from Helena General. Why do you want this job?" "I need to escape," I said, surprised by my own honesty. "My life here is unlivable." Her sharp eyes studied me. "Personal crisis? Money trouble? Legal issues?" "My fiancé dumped me for Victoria Peton 3 weeks before our wedding. I've got no home, no savings, and no reason to stay where they're building their empire." A flicker crossed Margaret's face, barely noticeable. "The Petons. Any ongoing ties to them?" "Only the fact that they ruined my life." She paused, then slid a contract across the desk. "Mr. Blackwood demands total discretion. No visitors, no personal calls on duty, no talking about his condition, ever. He's brilliant, bitter, and will push every limit. He hates pity or weakness. Can you handle that?" I thought of William's cold dismissal, Eleanor's labeled boxes, Victoria's stolen pearls. "I can handle anything but the life I lost." "Sign here." I signed without reading the fine print, ignoring the other nurses who'd quit, not questioning why Margaret seemed to understand my pain. The contract felt like one door closing and another opening. The next morning, a black town car pulled up at Dorothy's. She hugged me, slipped a photo of us into my hand, and whispered, "You're stronger than you know." The hour-long drive to Westfield Heights wound through neighborhoods where houses grew into estates, walled-off kingdoms. The Blackwood estate rose like a dream, sharp glass and steel, defying the soft hills around it. The gates parted silently, welcoming us to a driveway winding through gardens so perfect they seemed fake. Margaret met me at the entrance, her face unreadable. "Your suite's in the East Wing," she said, guiding me through halls where our footsteps echoed despite plush carpets. "You'll have privacy, but be close. Mr. Blackwood's rooms are right next door." My suite dwarfed any apartment I could have afforded, with huge windows framing a valley that felt worlds away from my old life. A king-sized bed, a cozy sitting area, a bathroom with a tub big enough for 3. It was stunning, cold, like a gilded cage. Margaret handed me a key card, a pager, and a warning. "He'll test you right away. Don't take it to heart." She left me alone in the suite, her words lingering. I set down my single suitcase, the pager heavy in my pocket, and approached the door to Nathaniel Blackwood's rooms. The mahogany door felt like a wall between my past and whatever lay ahead. I knocked twice, got no answer, and walked in. Margaret had said waiting for permission wasn't the deal here. The room stole my breath. Massive windows let afternoon sunlight flood in, gilding everything. Sleek black and gray furniture stood sharp against the warm glow. Artwork lined the walls, a Rothko, maybe real, given whose house this was. Wealth screamed from every detail, but beneath it was something else, loneliness, a life paused. Nathaniel Blackwood sat in his wheelchair, facing the windows, his back to me, shoulders stiff under a pricey black sweater. Even from behind, his presence made the air feel thin. I cleared my throat, but he spoke first, not turning. Another one. Margaret's scraping the bottom of the barrel now. His sharp words might have hurt a week ago, before people I loved tore me apart. Instead, I stepped forward, my footsteps firm on the hardwood. I'm Luna Carter, your new nurse. He spun his wheelchair fast, and I saw why other nurses ran. Nathaniel Blackwood was striking, dangerously so, dark hair just a bit long, gray eyes like winter storms, cheekbones like a statue's. But his glare turned that beauty into a blade, radiating disdain born from deep pain. Tell me, he said, his voice polished but cutting, what mess brought you here? Divorce? Death? Broke? Or are you one of those do-gooders thinking you'll fix me to fill your own empty life? My fiancé dumped me for Victoria Peton 3 weeks before our wedding, I said flatly. I'm here because I've got nowhere else. But I'm also here because I'm damn good at my job. Your attitude doesn't scare me, Mr. Blackwood. A flicker crossed his face, surprise, maybe recognition. Those storm gray eyes held mine, and I didn't look away. Victoria Peton, he said slowly. Marcus Peton's daughter, the pharma princess. That's her. So, what? You're here for revenge? To steal meds? Or just hiding from your shame? I'm here to do my job. Your mood's only my problem if it messes with your care. He laughed, a sharp, empty sound. Your job. So clinical. Nursing school teach you that, or the guy who decided you weren't worth keeping? His words should have stung, but William had already burned out my ability to feel that pain. I pulled out my tablet to check his medical files. Your evening meds are due in an hour. First, I need to check your vitals, range of motion, and skin condition. I'm not doing it. Your call. I'll note you refused. You'll quit. They all do. He rolled closer, so close I saw the exhaustion under his anger, the tension of constant pain. 3 days. That's my bet before you run back to whatever you're escaping. Your last nurse lasted 6 days, per the files. She cried on day 2. I don't cry anymore. Life's beaten that out of me. Our first exam was a showdown. He fought every test, questioned every move, through medical terms most nurses wouldn't know. But 5 years in trauma care, dealing with doctors who grilled nurses for fun, had prepared me. I met his challenges with steady calm. Your blood pressure's high, I said, removing the cuff. Pain level doesn't matter. I'll mark it as severe, then. You don't get to decide that. Pain you hide still hurts, Mr. Blackwood. It slows your recovery. He went quiet, staring at me with an unreadable look. As I prepped his evening meds, he said, You haven't cried yet. That's new. Sleep wouldn't come that night. The mansion's silence pressed against me like water. My suite's luxury felt strange after Dorothy's simple guest room, after the apartment I shared with William, after every cramped space I'd known. At 2 a.m., I gave up and wandered, mapping this glass fortress I now called home. The East Wing's halls seemed endless, doors leading to places I shouldn't go. Then I heard it, grunts, metal clanking, heavy breathing. The sound came from a door labeled private, but my old life's rules were gone. I pushed it open. Inside was a high-tech gym, equipment fit for a rehab center, not a home. And there was Nathaniel Blackwood, standing. His arms shook, sweat soaking his gray t-shirt. His legs, supposedly paralyzed, held his weight. He took one painful step, then another, his face twisted with effort and fierce will. He sensed me before I spoke. His head snapped up, eyes blazing with rage. Get out, he growled. Now. But I knew that anger, it was the same need to control my story that I felt packing my life away, signing blind contracts, fleeing to this mansion. This wasn't about me seeing him, it was about him being seen. How long have you been hiding this? I asked quietly. Leave. No. I'll call security. Your files say paralysis from T6 down. But you're walking. He eased into his wheelchair, chest heaving, movements smooth from practice. My files say what I want them to. Why hide this? It's amazing progress. His laugh was bitter. Because hope brings expectations, miracles, full recovery. When it slows or fails, people leave. His voice softened. Everyone leaves. His words hung heavy in the dim gym, his breath still ragged from his secret workout. I wanted to say I understood, that betrayal left scars that lingered. But car engines roared outside, shattering the moment, multiple vehicles arriving before 7 a.m. Nathaniel's face hardened. Get my chair by the window, he ordered, our moment gone. You need to vanish. Use the service hallway. Through the gym's small window, I saw black sedans pulling up. The lead car's plate read PMBB 00001. My blood froze. That's Marcus Peton's car. Nathaniel was already settling into his wheelchair, hiding every sign of his progress. He's early. The meeting was set for 9. He looked at me, eyes sharp. You know him. His daughter took my fiancé. A dangerous spark flashed in his eyes, but there was no time to dig deeper. Margaret's voice came through the intercom, calm but tense. Mr. Blackwood, your morning guests are here. They want to see you now. I slipped into the service hallway as Nathaniel ordered, but curiosity overpowered caution. Instead of retreating to my suite, I positioned myself to peer through a crack in the servant's door. What I saw nearly dropped me to my knees. Marcus Peton strode in first, commanding the room like a general. 2 lawyers trailed him, lugging briefcases heavy with bad intentions. His assistant, a jittery young man, started rearranging furniture as if staging a hostile takeover. Then Victoria swept in, her cream designer suit worth more than my old yearly pay. Her perfume, sharp and French, hit me even through the door's gap. But the final figure shattered me. William walked in, wearing an Armani suit I'd never seen, carrying the medical briefcase I knew too well. He moved with a confidence I'd never seen in our 4 years together, as if the Peton's world had unlocked his true self, a stranger I'd never known. Margaret wheeled Nathaniel in slowly, his blanket draped to highlight his supposed frailty. The man who'd walked minutes ago now looked broken, shoulders slumped, face blank. Nathaniel, Marcus boomed, his warmth fake. You look well, Marcus, Nathaniel said, his voice weak on purpose. This is a surprise. William stepped forward, offering his hand with a doctor's false pity that made me want to scream. Mr. Blackwood, I'm Dr. William Morris. I've consulted on your case for Peton Medical. Your progress reports are intriguing. Through the crack, I saw Nathaniel shake William's hand, the hand that once held mine, promising a future he never meant to keep. Nathaniel's face stayed neutral, but his other hand twitched under the blanket. My medical records aren't public, Nathaniel said. William's smile was smug. The Peton Foundation invests in spinal injury research. Your case could help thousands with proper funding. Marcus took Nathaniel's favorite chair without asking, a blatant power grab. Let's cut to it. You've got tech that could change spinal treatment. We've got the means to market it. Your condition makes leading tough. My condition doesn't touch my patents, Nathaniel shot back. Victoria's laugh grated my nerves. True, but it limits your ability to develop them. Daddy's offer is fair, all things considered. Considering what? Margaret asked, standing behind Nathaniel. His recovery stalled, William said, pulling files from his briefcase, files that shouldn't exist. The paralysis is permanent. No motor function below T6. The board must question if he can lead a tech company. Every word was a lie. I just seen Nathaniel walk. My hands shook with fury as William spewed his false diagnosis, betraying every medical oath. Through the kitchen serving window, I caught Nathaniel's eyes for a second. He knew. Marcus spread contracts on Nathaniel's coffee table like a war map. It's simple. We buy your patents for $15 million, a fair deal, given your limitations. You keep a figurehead role. Everyone wins. $15 million for tech worth 10 times that, Nathaniel said. In the right hands, Marcus corrected. Yours aren't what they used to be. I slipped into the kitchen, my nursing instincts kicking in. If they wanted service, I'd play the part while eavesdropping. I prepped coffee on the silver tray, my hands steady despite my pounding heart. Entering through the staff door, I said, "Your coffee, Mr. Peton," my voice calm. William didn't even glance at me. I'd become invisible the moment I stopped serving his needs. Victoria barely looked at me, dismissing me like a chair. Through the kitchen window, I kept preparing snacks, listening as their talk turned predatory. "Offshore accounts are ready," Victoria said casually. "The Cayman transfers can happen in days." "And if I say no?" Nathaniel asked. Marcus's smile was ice. "We moved to a competency hearing. Dr. Morris's testimony about your permanent disability will sway the board to replace you." "He's too broken to fight," Marcus told his lawyers, not bothering to whisper. "The board will pick active leadership over a man who can't stand." My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the coffee pot. William and the Petons were stealing Nathaniel's life, just as they'd stolen mine. Through the window, I met Nathaniel's eyes again. His storm gray gaze burned with the same rage I felt. After they left, their cologne and cruelty lingering, Nathaniel dropped his act. He sped his wheelchair to his study with fierce energy, and I followed, feeling the anger radiating from him. "They brought your ex to judge me," he said, voice low and dangerous, "to lie about my condition." "William's a pro at lying," I said. "I just didn't see it until it was too late." Nathaniel faced me, his expression different now. "Tell me everything about him, Victoria, when it started." In his study, with Marcus's contracts taunting us from the desk, I spoke. "William changed 2 months ago, late nights, fake conferences. I thought it was wedding stress." 2 months, Nathaniel said slowly. "That's when they pitched their first buyout. When I said no, they planned this, including getting rid of you to cover William's unethical moves. Your heartbreak was their strategy." During his stretching exercises that night, I crossed every professional line. It lines up perfectly. William started with them when he pulled away. Every missed dinner, every excuse, he was plotting with them. Nathaniel's hands paused on my wrists as I helped with his arm stretches. "William Morris. I should have seen it. He's been leaking my medical info for months." "They think you're weak," I said. "They don't know what you can do." His voice was quiet, lethal. "They forgot who I am, and they have no clue who you are." We turned his study into a war room over the next week. Margaret gave us access codes she shouldn't have, and we dug into digital trails. I found William's emails to Victoria, starting 4 months ago, before he ended us. One said, "Removing obstacles," dated 2 weeks before he left me. Nathaniel uncovered Cayman shell companies meant to hide his patent theft. The worst was Marcus's email to his lawyers, "The crippled genius is ripe for picking. His nurse seems docile. No issues expected." "Docile," I spat, the word bitter as poison. "They're clueless," Nathaniel said. When our fingers brushed over a document, neither of us pulled back. 2 weeks before the board meeting, everything shifted. At 4 a.m., Nathaniel took 20 steps without the bars, using just a cane. His triumphant grin broke me, and tears fell, not from pain, but fierce pride. He grabbed my hand, steadying himself against my shoulder. "We'll crush them," he said, his thumb grazing my knuckles, hinting at more than revenge. That morning, he practiced walking in his Tom Ford suit, looking like a warrior in a boardroom. I adjusted his stance, our bodies close, his cedar cologne sharp with resolve. Margaret watched from the doorway, her face unreadable but approving. Patricia Coleman arrived the next day with 3 associates, turning the dining room into a legal battlefield. In her 60s, with silver hair and piercing eyes, she'd toppled corporate giants. Her team spread documents like war plans, exposing the Peton's weaknesses. Dr. Morris broke HIPAA at least 6 times, Patricia said, marking evidence. Victoria's stock trades scream insider dealing. And Marcus's attempted theft is so obvious it's almost laughable. Can we prove they meant to do this? I asked. Patricia grinned, sharp as a predator. With your evidence, I can prove intent, conspiracy, and what I'd call corporate murder, figuratively speaking. When she asked about my role in this, Nathaniel spoke first. She's my partner in this fight. The word partner lingered, heavy with meaning. Patricia eyed us, then nodded. Good. A united front. They won't see it coming. We spent days preparing for the showdown. Nathaniel practiced his boardroom entrance, each step steadier. I played different board members, tossing objections he sliced through with precision. He memorized every legal point Patricia gave him, timing the reveal of evidence for maximum damage. On the 10th run-through, he stumbled. I caught him, our faces inches apart. You won't be there to catch me in the meeting, he said softly. I will, I said, meaning more than just steadying him. The night before the board meeting, I couldn't sleep. I roamed the mansion's halls, finding Nathaniel's private terrace door open. He actually stood, at the railing, gazing at city lights that might see his triumph or ruin tomorrow. You need rest, I said. So do you. I stood beside him, the city glowing below like a circuit board. Are you ready? I've been ready since they wrote me off. He faced me. Are you ready to face William? Tomorrow, I'd see William lie again, but this time, I'd be the one standing. I'm ready. Why didn't you leave when you saw me walking that first night? He asked. I saw myself in your eyes, the same look I had, packing my life away, pretending to be broken so no one expected anything. Now, we stop pretending. He studied me under the terrace lights. After tomorrow, everything changes. It already has. He shared his accident, the dark months before I came, how my refusal to pity him sparked something he thought was gone. I told him about foster care, the walls Dorothy broke down, how I thought William was my home. You belong here, he said simply. His kiss was steady, intentional, like our plans, tasting of redemption and revenge, something new. Tomorrow, we'd storm the boardroom and crush those who broke us. Tonight, on this terrace above the quiet city, we were just 2 people finding each other in the ruins. The morning air outside Blackwood Industries buzzed against my skin as we stepped from the car. Nathaniel adjusted his Tom Ford suit, his mahogany cane with a silver handle now a weapon he wielded with purpose. Ready? I asked, holding his evidence portfolio. I've been ready for months, he said, meeting my eyes. Stay close. I want them to see you. The elevator to the 40th floor felt endless. Passengers stepped back, sensing Nathaniel's fierce energy. When the doors opened, the receptionist gaped. She expected a wheelchair-bound Nathaniel, not this man striding past with deliberate steps, his cane tapping marble like a countdown. The boardroom doors stood open. 12 board members sat around the oval table, Marcus Peton in Nathaniel's chair. Victoria sat beside him in midnight blue, diamonds at her throat. William was to her left, medical files spread like props in a play already over. They gasped when Nathaniel walked in. Marcus paled, looking faint. Victoria's composure cracked, her hand clutching her throat. William tried to stand, then collapsed back, his legs failing him. Nathaniel crossed the room slowly, his cane striking in time with my pulse. He let them take in every step, every impossible move of his paralyzed body. At the chairman's seat, his seat, he stood tall. "Ladies, gentlemen," he said, voice commanding, "there's been a mistake about my abilities." He locked eyes with William, stressing abilities. William shrank into his suit. I stood beside Nathaniel, setting the portfolio down with a thud. "You're walking," Marcus choked out. "Sharp eye," Nathaniel said, sitting with ease. "But Dr. Morris's reports say that's impossible, right, doctor?" William's mouth flapped uselessly. "The reports, your paralysis was confirmed." "By you," Nathaniel cut in, pulling out documents. "Using my private medical data, which you had no right to see or share." "Shall we review your emails with Miss Peton? They start 4 months ago, 2 months before your official role." I watched Victoria's polish fade as Nathaniel read their emails aloud, her affair with William, their plan to remove obstacles, the timeline of my orchestrated betrayal. Her face showed pure panic. "This proves nothing," Marcus blustered, but his voice wavered. "Really?" Nathaniel pulled more papers. "How about the Cayman shell company set to steal my patents? Or the stock trades tied to Dr. Morris's fake reports?" Patricia Coleman stood, drawing every eye. "Mr. Blackwood's evidence shows conspiracy, corporate espionage, HIPAA violations, insider trading, and attempted patent theft." "You can't prove intent," Marcus said, desperate. Nathaniel's smile was ice cold. "Oh, I can." He tapped his tablet, and Marcus's voice filled the room. "He's too broken to fight. The board will choose active leadership. The crippled genius is ripe for harvesting." The recording played their entire mansion talk, caught by security they thought was just Nathaniel's paranoia. "Recording without consent is illegal," Victoria stammered. "Not in my home," Nathaniel said coolly. "Not when it captures fraud." This was my moment. William avoided my gaze, but now he looked up, pleading. "Luna, you don't get the full story." I stood, hands on the table, feeling the cool wood. "I get it all. You broke your medical oath, betrayed your patient, and threw me away for the Petons, professionally and personally." Victoria's gasp confirmed it. "You traded me for a deal that's now worthless. How's it feel to be the one left behind?" Board members whispered, already abandoning the Petons' sinking ship. "This is absurd," Marcus stood, his chair scraping. "We're leaving." "Sit," Nathaniel ordered, his voice iron. "Patricia." Patricia opened her briefcase with a snap. "Mr. Peton, you have 2 choices. 1. Drop all claims on Blackwood Industries, sign agreements to avoid Mr. Blackwood and his companies, and resign from the hospital board. 2. We file criminal charges." "Criminal charges?" William's voice broke. "Espionage, HIPAA violations, theft, insider trading," Patricia said calmly. "The FBI's white-collar crime unit is ready, depending on this meeting." "You wouldn't," Victoria said, her voice empty. "I would," Nathaniel replied. "Sign now." The room went quiet, save for pens scratching. Marcus signed with shaking hands, Victoria's manicured fingers trembled, and William signed like he was signing his own end. As they left, defeated, William paused at the door. "This isn't over," he said, his threat weak. I met his eyes. "It's over. You ended it 3 weeks ago. I'm just finishing it." The boardroom door clicked shut, leaving Nathaniel and me with the stunned board. Destruction's aftermath can feel empty, but this felt like breathing fresh air after years of choking. Nathaniel stayed seated, his hand finding mine under the table, fingers locking with quiet strength. Ladies, gentlemen, he told the board, we have a company to rebuild. Nathaniel remained seated, his hand slipping under the table to find mine, our fingers intertwining with a quiet certainty that grounded me amid the chaos we just unleashed. The boardroom still hummed with the aftermath of our victory, the air thick with the scent of polished wood and lingering tension. Gentlemen, ladies, he addressed the remaining board members, his voice steady and commanding, like a captain reclaiming his ship, I believe we have a company to rebuild. The vote to reinstate his full authority came swiftly, unanimous in its resolve. Whispers of agreement rippled through the room as hands raised one by one. No one dared align themselves with the Peton's crumbling empire, not after the damning evidence we'd laid bare. I watched their faces, a mix of relief and calculated loyalty, as they nodded in approval. It was as if the air itself had shifted, the weight of conspiracy lifting, replaced by the promise of stability under Nathaniel's leadership. As the board members filed out, murmuring apologies and pledges of unwavering support, their footsteps echoing down the marble hallway, Nathaniel's attorney, Patricia Coleman, approached us. Her sharp smile cut through the room like a blade, her eyes gleaming with the satisfaction of a well-executed plan. The Peton's assets are already being frozen pending a full investigation, she said, her tone crisp and professional, yet laced with triumph. And as for William Morris, he won't be practicing medicine in this state again. Maybe not anywhere, once the medical board reviews his violations. Her words hung in the air, a final nail in the coffin of our enemies. They should have sparked a rush of satisfaction, a sweet vindication after months of pain and plotting. But instead, I felt only a strange emptiness, a void where my burning anger had once raged. It was as if the fire that had driven me here had burned out, leaving me hollow, searching for what came next. Nathaniel seemed to sense it immediately, his thumb gently tracing soothing circles on the back of my palm, a silent reassurance that we were in this together. Come with me, he said softly once Patricia had departed, her heels clicking away into the distance. There's something I want to show you. We left the boardroom behind, the door closing with a definitive click that echoed my resolve to move forward. Nathaniel led me to his office, his steps confident now, the slight support of his cane more habit than necessity. The space was expansive, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the sprawling city below, towers of glass and steel stretching toward the horizon like fingers grasping at the sky. The view made the world feel conquerable, as if from this height, we could reshape it all. But Nathaniel didn't gesture to the panorama outside. Instead, he moved to his desk, unlocking a drawer and pulling out a set of rolled blueprints, spreading them across the surface where, just minutes earlier, we'd dismantled our foes. The east wing of the estate, he explained, his finger tracing the outlines on the paper. 12,000 square feet, currently sitting unused, gathering dust. I want to transform it into something that truly matters, something beyond revenge or survival. I leaned in, my eyes scanning the detailed drawings. The plans depicted a state-of-the-art rehabilitation center, sleek rooms equipped with cutting-edge machinery for physical therapy, serene treatment areas designed for quiet reflection, and therapeutic pools shimmering under soft lighting. Every line on the blueprint spoke of purpose, of healing spaces crafted with care. But it was the bold lettering at the top that stole my breath, making my heart stutter in my chest, the Blackwood Carter Rehabilitation Center. Your spinal cord stimulation technology, I whispered, the pieces falling into place as understanding washed over me like a wave. You want to make it accessible to patients who can't afford the traditional treatments, the ones the system leaves behind. Everyone, he corrected gently, his eyes meeting mine with an intensity that sent a warmth through me. No barriers, no exclusions. But to make it work, I need someone to oversee the clinical side, someone who gets that recovery isn't just about mending the body. It's about defying the circumstances that try to break you, about reclaiming your story on your own terms. Before I could respond, he slid a small velvet box across the desk toward me. My hands trembled as I opened it, half expecting a ring that would echo the weight of William's heirloom diamond. But inside lay a simple silver key, gleaming under the office lights, unadorned yet profound in its symbolism. Full partnership, Nathaniel said, his voice steady. An equity stake in the center. Your name on the door right beside mine. You'd handle the clinical operations, the day-to-day care, the patient journeys, while I focus on advancing the technology. Nathaniel, I stammered, staring at the key, I'm not qualified for this. I'm just a nurse, a trauma specialist who's spent years in hospital wards, not boardrooms or grand visions. He leaned forward, interrupting with a fierce passion that made my pulse quicken. You're the only one who saw me when I was invisible, Luna. You stayed when everyone else would have bolted at the first sign of my anger. You understood what I needed even when I couldn't articulate it myself. That's not just qualification, that's everything I need. The key rested light in my palm, but its weight and meaning was immense. It wasn't a symbol of possession or obligation, like the ring William had given me. This was an invitation to a future I'd never imagined, one forged from our shared scars, bold and uncharted, far from the predictable life I'd once chased with William. Yes, I said, my voice firm, and his smile broke across his face like dawn after a long night, transforming the room with its warmth. 6 months blurred past in a whirlwind of activity, construction crews hammering away at the East Wing, interviews for staff, the hum of equipment being installed piece by piece. The center emerged from the blueprints like a dream solidifying into reality, each room thoughtfully designed to foster dignity, spark hope, and facilitate true recovery. Soft lighting bathed the therapy areas, calming colors adorned the walls, and every detail, from the ergonomic furniture to the accessible pathways, spoke of empathy born from experience. I made Dorothy Martinez my first hire, tasking her with leading the patient advocacy program. Her decades of nurturing foster children, including me, made her the perfect fit to ensure every patient's voice was heard and their needs met. When I offered her the position over coffee in her cozy kitchen, her eyes welled up. Luna, sweetheart, she said, pulling me into a hug, I always knew you were destined for something extraordinary. This is it. The ribbon-cutting ceremony drew a crowd of medical professionals from across the country, reporters jotting notes, doctors mingling with donors, all buzzing with anticipation. I stood beside Nathaniel on the makeshift stage, the silver ribbon stretched before us, scissors glinting in the sunlight. He now walked with only the slightest limp, a testament to his relentless determination. My eyes scanned the faces until they landed on Dorothy in the front row, her smile radiant with pride. The Blackwood Carter Rehabilitation Center represents more than medical innovation, Nathaniel addressed the gathering, his voice carrying over the murmurs. It stands as proof that our worst moments do not define us, that from the depths of destruction, we can construct something profoundly beautiful. His hand found mine, warm and steady, as we cut the ribbon together. The applause erupted like thunder, washing over us, but I barely registered it, lost in the moment's significance. The culmination of our pain turned into purpose. Later, in my new office overlooking the center's gardens, that morning's newspaper sat unfolded on my desk. Tucked away in the society pages was William and Victoria's wedding announcement, a small, unceremonious affair at a courthouse, far from the grand event they'd once stolen from me. The article noted how the Peton fortune had vanished amid mounting legal fees and frozen assets, their empire reduced to ashes. Victoria, it seemed, had discovered too late that William's loyalty was transactional, always up for bid to the highest power. I stared at the words, expecting a surge of satisfaction or lingering bitterness. But there was nothing, just a mild pity for Victoria, who had gambled on a man whose affections shifted like sand, believing she'd upgraded when she'd only inherited my regrets. You've become exactly who you were meant to be, Dorothy whispered later, hugging me tightly after my brief speech at the ceremony. Her words settled in my chest, and for the first time, I truly believed them. Our first patient arrived that very afternoon, Jamie, a 22-year-old whose life had been upended by a motorcycle accident. She wheeled into the center with wide eyes, her family close behind, a mix of hope and apprehension on their faces. Watching Nathaniel work with her, patiently explaining the spinal cord stimulation technology he'd pioneered, sketching out the possible futures ahead, I glimpsed the man he must have been before his own accident. Brilliant and passionate, he didn't just describe recovery, he embodied it, his determination infectious as he mapped out her path forward. 3 weeks later, during a sunset stroll along the private beach below the estate, Nathaniel stopped where the waves lapped at the sand. The October air carried a crisp chill, the sky painted in vibrant shades of amber and rose, mirroring the warmth blooming between us. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box, my heart skipping a beat at the sight. "I'm not asking you to marry me because I need you," he said, opening it to reveal a simple sapphire ring, elegant and unpretentious, nothing like the burdensome heirloom Williams' family had forced upon me. "I'm asking because I've learned that the ultimate revenge against those who tried to shatter us is to create something they could never comprehend, never reach, never become a part of. Build that life with me, Luna, not out of desperation or convenience, but pure choice." I took the ring from the box myself, sliding it onto my finger where it fit as if it had always belonged there. When I kissed him, the ocean's rhythmic waves were our only witness, gently erasing our footprints in the sand as we walked back, leaving behind no trace of our past pains, only the promise of the road ahead. A month after the opening, standing in one of the facility's bright therapy rooms, I watched Nathaniel assist Jamie in taking her first unassisted steps. Her legs, once unresponsive, moved tentatively forward, each one a small miracle born from his technology and her grit. Her parents wept openly, tears of joy streaming down their faces, while her younger sister captured the moment on her phone, cheers filling the air. This was the heart of what we'd built, not merely a rehabilitation center, but a sanctuary where people discovered their inherent wholeness, where broken was just a temporary label. My phone buzzed later that day with a message from an unknown number. The preview flashed William's name, hinting at regrets and a plea to talk. I didn't hesitate, I deleted it without opening, the action as final as closing a book on a chapter long finished. Then, I reached for Nathaniel's hand as our next patient arrived, the warmth of his touch a reminder of the life we'd forged. We had both been cast aside by those who viewed us as expendable, William discarding me for his ambitions, the Petons attempting to entomb Nathaniel while he still drew breath. Yet from those ruins, we had constructed something neither of us could have achieved in our unbroken states, a love ignited by vengeance but refined into purpose, a beacon of healing that belonged solely to us, untouchable and enduring. If this tale of revenge and redemption gripped you to the end, hit that like button. My favorite moment was when Luna faced William in the boardroom, telling him his alliance was worthless. What's your favorite moment? Share in the comments. For more stories like this, subscribe and tap the notification bell to never miss an upload.